my dear readers, listeners, and of course, friends. The cultural efflorescence of the High Middle Ages, epitomized by the troubadours and trobarits of Occitania, laid the groundwork for the musical and poetic traditions that would later flourish in the Trecento period. The troubadours, predominantly male poet-musicians, and their female counterparts, the trobarits, composed in the vernacular Occitan language, creating a lyrical corpus that was as sophisticated in its form as it was profound in its thematic explorations of courtly love, chivalric virtue, and existential reflection. The transition from the rich, albeit regional tradition of troubadour poetry to the more widespread and varied musical practices of the Italian Trecento is a testament to the enduring legacy of these medieval poets. The primary thematic concern of the troubadours was the notion of fin amour, or refined love, a concept that not only structured their poetic compositions, but also permeated the social and cultural fabric of the courts they inhabited. This idealized form of love, often unattainable and directed toward a noblewoman of higher social standing, necessitated a meticulous and elaborate mode of expression, characterized by intricate rhyme schemes and complex metrical patterns. The troubadours employed various canso, songs, and sirventes, satirical poems, which became archetypal forms in the development of later poetic and musical compositions. Moreover, the trobar clus, closed form, and trobar loi, light form styles underscored the duality in troubadour poetry, the former being esoteric and demanding intellectual engagement, while the latter was more accessible and straightforward. This dichotomy allowed for a wide spectrum of emotional and intellectual expression, which would later influence the textual intricacies found in the Italian madrigals and ballate of the Trecento. The trobarits, though fewer in number, offered a unique perspective within the predominantly male troubadour tradition. Their works, often more personal and introspective, challenged the conventional gender dynamics of the time and provided a counterpoint to the male-centric discourse of fin amour. The trobarits' contributions are crucial in understanding the evolution of lyrical expression, as they introduced themes of female desire and autonomy, which subtly influenced the portrayal of women in subsequent literary and musical works. The intersection of gender and poetic form in the works of trobarits, such as Beatrice de Dia and Castellosa, provides a nuanced understanding of the socio-cultural milieu of the time. Their ability to navigate and sometimes subvert the rigid structures of courtly love poetry set a precedent for the more diversified thematic content in the Trecento period. The geographical and cultural diffusion of troubadour poetry from Occitania to Italy was facilitated by the interconnected nature of medieval European courts and the itinerant lifestyles of many poets and musicians. This transmission was not merely a passive absorption, but an active and creative reimagining of the Occitan tradition within the Italian context. The Italian poets, known as the Dolce Stil Novo, drew heavily from the troubadour lexicon, adapting and refining it to suit their own linguistic and cultural framework. The Dolce Stil Novo poets, including Guido Cavalcanti and Dante Alighieri, synthesized the troubadour's emphasis on idealized love, with a more introspective and philosophical outlook. This synthesis is evident in the way they employed the vernacular Italian in their poetic compositions, thus paving the way for the rich interplay of text and music in the Trecento period. The Trecento, or 14th century, witnessed a significant transformation in the musical and poetic landscape of Italy. The early Trecento composers, such as Jacopo da Bologna and Francesco Landini, inherited the troubadour tradition's emphasis on lyrical beauty and textual sophistication. However, they expanded upon this foundation by integrating the evolving polyphonic practices and the rhythmic innovations that characterize the Ars Nova movement. The madrigal, a principal musical form of the Trecento, is a testament to this continuity and transformation. It retained the troubadour's lyrical focus but was set to more elaborate musical structures that allowed for greater expressive range. The ballata, another prominent form, similarly reflected the troubadour influence in its poetic content, while incorporating the dance rhythms and refrains that characterized Italian popular music. The advent of polyphony in the Trecento marked a significant departure from the monophonic traditions of the troubadours, yet it was not a complete severance. The polyphonic madrigals of composers like Jacopo da Bologna exhibit a keen sensitivity to textual clarity and poetic nuance, hallmarks of the troubadour tradition. This careful setting of text to music ensured that the emotional and intellectual content of the poetry was not overshadowed by the complexity of the musical composition. Furthermore, the Trecento composer's use of rhythmic modes and proportional notation can be seen as an extension of the troubadour's metrical precision, applied now within a polyphonic framework. The intricate interplay of voices in a madrigal, with its careful attention to textual syllabification and accentuation, reflects the troubadour's legacy of linguistic and poetic finesse. In conclusion, the influence of troubadour and Trobarit's poetry on Trecento music is a multifaceted phenomenon that encompasses thematic continuity, formal innovation, and cultural transmission. The troubadours' sophisticated use of vernacular language and their exploration of courtly love themes provided a rich repository of poetic forms and concepts that the Trecento composers adapted and expanded upon. The Trobarit's contributions, though less celebrated, offered essential insights into gender dynamics and personal expression that resonated in the more varied thematic landscape of the Trecento. The Italian Trecento, with its flourishing of musical and poetic creativity, stands as a testament to the enduring legacy of the troubadours and Trobarit's. Their influence is evident not only in the thematic and formal elements of Trecento compositions, but also in the underlying aesthetic and intellectual principles that guided this remarkable period of cultural efflorescence. The intricate tapestries of sound and sense woven by Trecento composers continue to echo the troubadour's call for lyrical beauty and emotional depth, underscoring the timeless and transcendent nature of their artistic contributions.